Hi, my name is Natalie Serrano, and I am a part of Group 12.
Hello, my name is Shivani Bhardwaj.
Hey, how's it going? My name is Shaden Williams.
Hello, my name is Christian Blasi.
Hi, my name is Stevie Scott Smith.
Hello, my name is Caitlin Personal, and I will be talking about the overview of our existing process as well as our as-is diagram. So the key steps of our process is tenants submit maintenance requests to property managers. The property managers will review and communicate with tenants and maintenance managers to facilitate the repair. The maintenance managers will then schedule and oversee the repairs, and the tenants are informed once the repairs are complete. The key takeaways from this process is the process controls or oversight is limited to Nevada state statute pertaining to property management, and communication is limited to the use of cell phones via call and text. Moving on to our existing process, also known as our as-is diagram, for the request maintenance overall process. The tenant will need maintenance, and they will contact the property manager. The property manager will receive this message and review the request. The maintenance manager will then schedule the repair, and the maintenance staff will complete the repair, and they will inform the property manager, who will then inform the tenant, and that is where the process will stop.
I will be talking about the high impact problems. Our analysis revealed two high impact problems driving these inefficiencies. The first one was inconsistent and incomplete communication among tenants, property managers, and maintenance managers. With the review request sub-process, this issue arises because there are no standardized procedures for capturing or relaying tenant information. The second high-impact problem was delayed repair scheduling and execution. Within the schedule repair sub-process, excessive communication handoffs and a lack of automation slow down scheduling and execution, causing frustration for tenants and additional workload for staff. These problems were prioritized based on their significant impact on tenant satisfaction and operation efficiency. They became the focal points of our process analysis and redesigning efforts. Finally, I will be talking about the problem analysis, identifying the high impact problems. How we identified was, first of all, the scope of the current process and identification of all problems occurring within the request maintenance process. The second way was utilization of the problem analysis worksheet allowed us to prioritize the issues that SS Investments is facing, leading us to the two highest impact problems we continue to focus on.
Now, utilizing all of the tools that Shivani just walked us through, we can begin to identify our high impact problems, which number one are the incomplete and inconsistent information sharing within the review request sub-process, and number two, the delayed repairs due to inefficiencies in the scheduled repair sub-process. So these sub-processes are something we'll get further into later on. However, now that we've identified these high impact problems, we can begin to look at the root causes of these high impact problems. So how do we do that? Number one, we conducted research within SS Investments to locate not only when these high impact problems were occurring, but where they were occurring. So from there, we then decomposed the sub-process in which these high impact problems were occurring within the process. So that sub-process breakdown looked like the review request sub-process and the schedule repair sub-process. So with the review request, we focused on how requests are received, reviewed, and passed along. And then with the schedule repair, we focused on the communication and scheduling logistics with that scheduling of the repairs.
Here we have our review request sub-process, also known as our high impact problem 1. So the issue first arises here in the tenant pool when the tenant contacts the property manager to request repairs. Although sometimes the tenant might not give sufficient information, which the lack of controls on the request information then triggers the incomplete information relay. So when the property manager then receives and reviews the information that was received, it will either have an incomplete request or a complete request. So with our issue with the tenant not giving sufficient information, it causes an incomplete request and causes a communication loop until the property manager then contacts the tenant and requests additional information from them. only until the property manager has enough information from the tenant for the request repairs. Then the information goes onto the maintenance manager for them to complete the request. So the root causes of the problem with the review request. So first we have process controls, then we have our human involvement, and then lastly we have our key findings. With the process controls, there is a lack of documented procedures results in inconsistencies. In the human involvement, there is a high variability in how requests are handled, leading to the insufficiencies with the process. And then in our key findings, there are frequent follow-ups caused by incomplete information or inconsistent information, and no centralized system for tracking or sharing request details, leading to the delays in the process.
Today I'm going to be going over the schedule repair sub-process and its problems. The sub-process begins with the property manager reaching out to the tenant inquiring about availability and permission for the maintenance crew to enter the house. The tenant then reviews the information, fills in available time, and gives permission, and sends that back to the property manager. The property manager then forwards this information over to the maintenance manager, who then reviews it and forwards it back to the tenant. The tenant, once receiving the confirmation request, has to approve it. Once it's approved, the maintenance manager can then send a message over to his maintenance staff, allowing the appointment to happen on the date and time. The maintenance crew will come in, repair whatever needs to be repaired. Then they'll leave, tell the maintenance manager that it's been repaired, and then the maintenance manager will then reach out to the property manager, and finally the property manager will forward the confirmation to the tenant that the repair has been complete. Now, the problem that we have encountered with this, number one, is the amount of handoffs we've had. There are too many handoffs among 4 different parties with the tenant, the property manager, the maintenance manager, and the maintenance staff. It's jumping between too many parties, thus causing too much room for error. Messages to be missed, messages to be delayed, thus causing the total repair process to be delayed. That gets doubled with the human involvement. With this many humans being involved, this many people participating, it leaves a high chance for variability. People check their phones at different times. People could be busy, or they could just miss the message altogether, like said, and it completely delay or cancel the entire repair process. Another key finding is we are doing all of our communication through cell phones exclusively. And by doing that, leaving it only to text messages, it leaves a high chance for the messages to either get lost or just to be seen very late, and again, delay the communication, delay the process, and delay our total efficiency. Thank you.
Smith, and I'm going to walk us through our redesign of the request maintenance process. We went through the high impact problems and the root causes, so now we're going to see how we can address those. So with that, our redesign goals are to, of course, address the root causes directly in order to solve those high impact problems. And then we want to reduce delays and errors in the maintenance workflows. And then, of course, enhance tenant experience through timely responses and updates. So some of the key changes we made in this redesign that I'm going to work through are going to be the addition of an electronic form, the addition of a cloud-based data store, and then the limitation of communication to one point of contact, which I'm going to get into in our to-be diagram. So you saw our as is. This is now our proposed redesign that I'll walk us through here really quick. So it's going to start when the tenant submits the request via the online form. So the key change with the electronic form is that it's only going to accept the request if it is complete and accurate. So this is already going to eliminate a lot of the inefficiencies that we're facing. So here, if the request is complete and accurate, it will then be accepted, and the electronic form will then send the information to the property manager, maintenance manager, and our cloud-based data store that I just previously mentioned. So with that, this will mail merge to a spreadsheet in which all of our internal participants right here will have access to in case they need to revert back to that information at any point during the process. So That electronic form will send that information to the maintenance manager and property manager, in which the maintenance manager will then prioritize the issue and then schedule the repair. Once they have that repair scheduled, they're going to relay that information back to the property manager, in which the property manager will inform all participants of our course of action. So here they're going to communicate with the tenant of that scheduling, and then they're also going to let the maintenance staff know, so the maintenance staff can then go ahead and complete that repair. Once the maintenance staff does complete that repair, they're going to inform the property manager that that's been resolved, and the property manager will then relay that to the tenant. The tenant will be communicated with that their problem has been resolved, and the process ends there. So how that works, we just kind of went through, I walked us through that, but I do want to highlight one of the key changes there as well, is that the tenant is now going to receive 2 updates throughout the process from the property manager. So they're going to be getting communicated with, they're going to have updates, and they're going to be in the loop on what's going on, which is a standardized process control that we did not have in the as-is process. So while we expect to see a lot of benefits from this, the 4 that we really think are going to shine are going to be the faster repairs. Our streamlined communication and reduced scheduling delays are really going to speed things up. We're also going to see better coordination. The centralized systems are going to improve our collaboration between tenants, property managers, maintenance staff, and maintenance managers. Everybody's going to be on the same page. Everybody's going to have access to that same information. So coordination and collaboration are going to be a lot easier for everybody. With that, we're also going to see a reduced workload. The standardized processes and the automation that we're implementing are going to lighten the load and the burden on property managers and all of the staff involved. And with all of those things, we are really hoping to see higher tenant satisfaction. Clear communication and quicker responses are hoping to improve the tenant experience and then reduce the amount of tenant complaints that SS Investments is experiencing. So how did we come up with this redesign? We reverted back to our 16 design principles, and while we did enlist almost all 16 of them, there were 4 that popped out to us that helped us the most in our redesign that I'm going to walk us through. So the first one was design principle number 1, which is designing from the outside in. So coming at our redesign, not from the internal perspective of the back end and how it's going to work for SS Investments, but more so the tenant and their experience. That's the perspective we wanted to go at our redesign with. So with that, we focused on enhancing the tenant experience by streamlining communication and reducing response times. So we also really focused on design principle number 5, which is providing a single point of contact. Tenants are now required to connect with only the property manager, which is going to reduce a lot of communication errors and a lot of communication redundancy. So really going to streamline things. Arguably, the most important design principle that we enacted with our automation is going to be capturing information at once and then sharing it. So the electronic form now does this all for us. It's going to collect all of the accurate and complete data up front, and then it's going to share that with all of the required participants. So this is going to prevent a lot of redundant follow-ups as well as inaccuracies with information. That leads us to design principle number 1, which is involving as few actors as possible. By automating specific tasks and streamlining a lot of the workflows that we did with our redesign, we reduced the number of people involved in each step of the process, which is also going to help with the inefficiencies and overall just speed up the process as a whole. So these were the design principles that we chose to focus on the most with our redesign that we believe helped us come up with a hopefully successful redesign of the request maintenance process. So that is our presentation.